Public Transport MEC Jacob Mamabolo has condemned the attack on an Uber driver in Ekurhuleni. The e-hailing driver was targeted earlier today, allegedly by members of the Katlehong People's Taxi Association. Mamabolo says the attacks are unacceptable and is calling on law enforcement to hold those involved in the crime accountable. He says the Transport Department has been working with the taxi industry to root out violence in their operations and will continue to do so. All right, the MEC joins us now live. MEC, thanks for your time. So you look at this video and you see the violence being recorded. Of course, this is something you've been trying to get right over the past couple of years. There's been this tension between Uber drivers and taxi drivers in South Africa, even cab drivers. It doesn't seem to be working.
Well, firstly, good evening to you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Good evening to all the viewers. Let me start by extending a message of solidarity and support to the e-hailing driver who has suffered acts that are tantamount to, really barbarism at its worst, which we condemn in the strongest possible terms and call on law enforcement to act harshly. And not only, law enforcement, but the entire criminal justice system. We must also commend the police for having made an arrest, and we appeal to them to get to the bottom of this issue and deal with it very decisively. We will keep an eye on the matter. And thirdly, I just want to, assure the people of our province that we are hard at work with the leaders of the taxi industry to try to modernize, to transform and change the taxi industry so that it can take its rightful place as an industry that works according to business rules and that appreciate that the market in which it operates will have new players, new innovation, new products, new services, and that these problems cannot be solved by the barrel of a gun, can only be solved by proper business principles. And to that extent, we really hope that whilst law enforcement and the entire criminal justice system take its course, the taxi industry will even work much more harder to rid itself of this very terrible and bad image that it has itself to blame that has happened over the past years.
It's quite shocking watching this video, and let's see if we can bring it up again, because I'm watching the uncensored version on Twitter. It's obviously going online quite now with people commenting on it. You see them with this man on the floor, whipping him. There are two people whipping him, kicking him, and then trying to push him into a car. These individuals think that they are in control of the area clearly because his car has crashed, and then they are taking the law into their own hands. So we are hearing that Uber drivers are being targeted in this area. Are you aware of that at all?
Yes, let me just make 2 points that, just last year, towards the end of the year, we were approached by the e-hailing industry, raising 2 issues that affect them: violence from the meter taxis, which we know was very serious as well, and of course, to a large extent, they did raise the issue with the minibus taxi industry, but it was not as rife as with the meter taxis. So, to be honest and frank, we are aware that the taxi industry is very intolerant and uses very bad and backward and what I call barbaric methods to solve the challenges that it has. And that's why we want to emphasize the point that we will intensify efforts to make sure that we place the taxi industry on a better path, so that we do not have to have this type of things. They also do other wrong things that with law enforcement, with the leaders of the taxi industry, who are trying to correct when they see people, it could be club transport groups, people that pick each other in the morning going to work. They unleash their taxi squads, which are becoming paramilitary units and proxies for the taxi industry to solve the challenges that would affect any industry, any market. And to that extent, I just want direct answer to your point is that we are aware of these challenges. That is why we are hard at work with the leaders of the taxi industry to try to help the taxi industry navigate this very difficult situation in which it finds itself. With you permitting me, I would like to also say the leaders of the taxi industry have clearly said to us, they also want government to support them and to help them to get out of this difficulty they have of the culture of violence, of solving everything with violence, including killings amongst themselves. We have had a summit with them. We have appointed a commission of inquiry into taxi violence. I met with them last week. We hold regular meetings. We have just finalized the need to take them on a training program, conflict management. We have discussed all those issues. And I want to say that whilst we really, really strongly condemn this barbaric act, but I'll plead and appeal that let us still give the taxi industry an opportunity to find its way and to be a type of a mode of public transport that can be run on better values and principles.
MEC, I find that hard to believe. Why would you help an industry that has thugs clearly running it, that have people who think they can beat up and murder others when they have fights over routes, etc.? How do you help them? Why is the law not taking its course? Why are these people not afraid to commit crimes? Because right now it doesn't look like they are. So when you say you need to help them become a better industry, it's kind of laughable. Because if it was any other industry where we saw people carry out crimes, including murder, to the extent that we see in the taxi industry, then police would have pounced. But that doesn't seem to be the case here.
So firstly, the police have made an arrest. One of the suspects, as we speak, is behind bars. And I'm aware that the police have indicated that they are still trying to bring, other culprits to book as well. And I understand the police are working on the matter. We are very clear on this issue. The law must take its head, its full course, the full might of the law, and not only just the police making arrests, but there's still the court process, where we also call, whilst of course we can't get involved in how the judiciary deals with its matters, but we also need them to make sure that the prosecution process make these people to rot in jail. And so to that effect, this is a criminal act. And we're quite confident that law enforcement will deal with the issue quite decisively.
Yes, and these are criminals, right? No, but these are criminals, and you're talking about... These are criminals, and you're talking about helping the industry. I don't see how that's going to work, because it hasn't worked. You even had a taxi summit in July last year, and we're still seeing this happen in Gauteng and other parts of the country. So for me, it's not about how you can help the taxi industry. It's how you actually reach a point where they're afraid to commit these crimes so openly and so blatantly in South Africa.
So allow me to say the following, that the people who have committed this barbaric act are definitely criminals. And as I said, they must rot in jail because that's where criminals belong. Having said that, I can assure you and all the viewers that these events that have happened to the e-hailing driver, and of course, many other similar incidents that have happened, do not represent the entire men and women in the taxi industry. I can assure you, there are men and women in the taxi industry that believe that the taxi industry must be run on best principles and values, especially those embedded in our country's constitution, the Bill of Rights. And they are hard at work to achieve that. And what we must do as government is to support them. I can assure you, I called the leaders of the taxi industry immediately when this incident late in the afternoon came to my attention. And they all said the law must take its course. So I'm just saying that it will take time to completely, address the deep-rooted and historic culture of violence in the taxi industry. But at the same time, if you look just here in our province, we used to receive reports on a number of, many times about taxi violence. The situation is no longer the same. And of course, there are still these incidences, but I want to appeal that let us not write off the taxi industry. They will change, they need support, they recognize they are in a difficulty. And I also want to appeal to the leadership of the taxi industry that they must work even much more harder to rid themselves of the image that they themselves have historically created. We know from the taxi report, a Commission of Inquiry report on the root causes of taxi violence, that many players have also contributed to what we see as a very terrible, bad criminal culture in the taxi industry. And that is contained in the report. So to that extent, I'm saying taxi industry carries 70% of the workforce in this province. And I'm appealing that whilst we strongly condemn barbarism, backward conduct, criminality, but I'm really, really pleading that let us not write the taxi industry off. They will change. They will see light at the end of the tunnel. Change, we mustn't lose hope in the capacity of humanity to embrace change. They will change. They need us to support them. But I must say, this has really shocked us, and we believe the law will take its mind. It will prevail.
I get you. I get what you're saying. But when I see a crime like this happen in South Africa, I, would think that we'd be more aggressive in the approach to what has happened. So you're saying the law must take its course, but you're also asking us to give the taxi industry another chance. And I think we've given them millions of chances. But let's talk about the Katlehong People's Taxi Association. There's a vehicle there clearly branded with that name. Have you spoken to them, and what are they saying for themselves apart from let the law take its course? Because if these are their members, that's not good enough of a response.
I must say to the viewers, I did call both the Katlehong Taxi Association leaders, and I called the provincial leaders in the province. And I will be meeting with the taxi industry on Monday, both at province, region of Ekurhuleni, and CAPTA itself, to discuss this matter, because this matter has really, this is quite serious. So I will be meeting with them. They have assured me that they condemn this, they support that the law take its course, but I will have a meeting with them, and we will report back on the outcomes of that meeting. And I commit, we will work hard with the taxi industry to help them change and to make sure that they can appreciate the progress that this country has made to put violence behind us. And we need different multidisciplinary solutions. No single one of them will give us results. Let us work and combine different interventions to try to solve this problem. I'm quite sure that this country has seen the worst forms of violence. This country has gone through difficulties, and I'm quite sure that the taxi industry will see value in the work done in this country to address violence. And I'm quite sure that combining law enforcement, internal processes in the taxi industry, support from government, from commuters, from stakeholders, from media houses, from all of us, we will take the taxi industry to a new level. Let us not lose hope. Let us not write off the taxi industry. Let's not lose confidence in them. I'm quite sure that at some point, things will be better.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, MEC. Appreciate it. Gauteng Transport MEC, Jacob Mamabolo.